Okay, folks, it's 6:30. Let's get started. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? If not, look at the minutes and we'll.
The minutes for Monday, April the 8th, I noticed that the members present, my name was left out. I'd like to include that.
Okay, we need a motion to amend. I'll entertain a motion to amend the April 8th minutes to include Dr. Gray as present. I was just entertaining the motion. We need a motion. You make the motion. Did you make a motion? All right. Do we have a second to amend the minutes?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we'll amend the minutes to include your presence. Don't want to leave anybody out. We appreciate everybody's effort to come to meetings and provide input, and those that are watching the meeting electronically or will view it later. Appreciate all the attention that we can bring to agriculture and the improvement of Oconee County. Yes, sir.
If I may, just as a matter of order, you all just approved the April minutes. Could I ask that you all look to see if you want to approve the July minutes? There's two sets of minutes in that, as I have not gotten the last one. So if you all, or three sets of minutes, I'm sorry. So you all just approved the April ones. If you could look at the other two as well, if you have, like to. Yeah. Right, there's February and July in there as well.
Adam, did you get my request to correct the spelling of my name?
I got the request, but it already went out. I'll fix it. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Would we like to make a motion to correct the spelling?
That, I correct, yes, that'd be great, yes, sir. To fix all
All right.
spelling errors.
Do I hear a motion to amend Mr. Barry's name spelling? Correct the name spelling?
I'll make a motion.
All right, so moved. In a second.
Second.
Second. Everybody in favor say aye. Aye.
How do you spell it?
It's BERRYRIKARD. It's spelled correctly on my label that you mailed me.
Okay.
Incorrectly.
Would it be better to vote on them 1 month at a time, or we need, can all
or
three?
If anybody has any other comments about it, or you just vote them all at one time, it's fine.
Does anybody have any corrections or amendments for the April, the February, and the July minutes? Other than the absentee and the name spelling, I didn't see any errors. So we're voting to approve February, April, and July minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the 3 months' worth of minutes?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, those are approved. I don't have my agenda in front of me. I believe there it is. It's scrolling quickly. This is a touch screen. You can touch it, but no, I don't have it. But at least we're not squinting up at the ceiling. No one signed up for public comment, I guess, so we'll go right into this. Okay, what we're going to do is look at the goals, objectives, and strategies for implementation of our portion of the agricultural element of the 2020 plan. This is one of 10, so to speak, chapters, and this is well thought out, put together. We're not going to beat it to death. We're going to go over it line by line, though, and discuss if there's anything you'd like to discuss. According to the back page, the blue ink, the black ink was text that was already there from the comprehensive plan, just so y'all understand the key. And I hope everybody's looked at this and studied a little bit and written down some comments. The blue was developed per the input from our focus group listening sessions and meetings. and the red was developed by consultants to address issues in the background data. So goals, objectives, and implementation summarize actions that will be undertaken in the coming decade to achieve the goals and objectives identified in the agricultural element. And that's all I'm going to read to you because I don't like to be read to, and I don't want to read to y'all. So we are going to go by it line by line fairly quickly. We're going to stay on track. We're not going to stray off. In this plan, there's basically 3 goals, and one is to support and protect agriculture. And several pages later, 2 is to protect forestry, our county's forest resources, and 3 is to eliminate food deserts, ensure access to healthy foods. Those are the basic 3. That's all. We're just looking at 3 strategies and then objectives and strategies to get to those goals. So we're looking at 3 goals and objectives and strategies to get us there. So number 1, goal 8.1 is to support and protect the agricultural industry in Oconee County. To do that, the objective is to recognize importance, and one of the strategies is to best management practices, implement best management practices, encourage the use of best management, BMPs, okay? So,
I'd like to make a motion that we change the wording of that just a little bit.
all right,
To which one, ma'am?
The very first one.
Which one? The goal, objective, the strategy?
The strategy, I'm sorry. 8111. Instead of encourage, can we use the word advocate? And also in I don't know if we are concerned with accountable agencies or not, but looks like there's a little bit of redundance there, and maybe just make Soil and Water Commission a separate category. And also, I think I would add the State Forestry Commission.
So if I may, with all these, and this is an excellent point, Ms. Sewell, is that there's 3 columns here. Wow, my chair just fell. One is the strategy itself, one is the accountable agency, one is the time frame for completion. The strategy and the accountable agencies, you all can edit that to your heart's content. My opinion is that you all should motion and vote every change, line by line. If you want to change a comma, if you want to change a word, if you want to change an accountable agency, that's all up for motion and vote. Now, we can combine that stuff, that way we don't have 10,000 motions and votes for the document. But as far as the time frame for completion, next month, when I bring this back to you, it'll have some suggestions, because I'm gonna look at this, because this is, as Mr. Blanton said, 1 chapter out of 10. So looking at it as a fulsome document, timeframes for completion, and then you all can look at that and see if you all like that. And so that was just my little intro.
and keeping in mind, this is a changeable document. We can change it as we go. Is that correct?
That is correct. So tonight you all will, let's just say we get through all the goals, objectives, and strategies this evening. I'll take it, we'll edit it, I'll bring it back to you next month. You all can then edit it some more, or say, hey, we already did the editing, we're good to go. And at that point, it's up to you to either keep editing or send it on to the planning commission at the end of September, or middle of September. So sorry for interrupting you.
I'd like to see Clemson Extension included in that one and several others too, because I think that's a natural fit. And they help us implement BMPs. They help write the BMPs. So I'll entertain a motion for our changes, and we'll second it and vote on it. If you'd like to reword it and put it in the form of a motion, what you'd like to do.
Okay, I'd like to a motion to change the first word of the strategy, 8111, to advocate instead of encourage. And then the agencies, Planning Commission, then the Soil and Water Conservation Commission, it looks like it's a separate entity, Oconee County, and, South Carolina Forestry Commission, and Extension.
Extension. Good.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was leaving out, so I'm sorry.
Cool, all right.
Should have remembered that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of those changes, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Good. All right. Strategy 111 is down. Let's go to number 2, 8112. Encourage and support collaboration between landowners, public agencies, and the development of, and I said I wasn't going to read ecologically. You guys finish reading that. All right. So encourage and support collaboration. That's one of our missions and from day one, I believe.
I have another motion about a wording change.
All right.
This kind of goes through the whole document, or at least through these that I've noticed is, I would keep, in the first one, you said farmland and forest, or farming and forestry, but I would keep it the same, like farmland would be first and then forest. Keep it consistent throughout the document. I'm sorry, it's just kind of a readability thing.
Okay. That's a good point. Consistent.
So I'd like to make a motion that you change, just put farmland and forest instead of forest and farmland in that one.
All right, we have a motion to make the wording consistent, farming and forestry operations. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Marlene, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say likewise. I would like to add Clemson Extension again and conservation groups. That would be appropriate to the accountable agencies. Discussion? Y'all okay with that? So I'll move to include Clemson Extension and conservation groups in the accountable agencies column. Is there a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Likewise. Okay. If y'all will read 8113, I won't have to read it. Any discussion?
Would we add municipalities?
Seems like that would be a good idea.
Since they have roads.
Want to add those,
Oconee County municipalities.
add those to the accountable agencies? We'll put it in form of a motion.
Make a motion that we add municipalities to the list of agencies on 8.113.
Second, if I could do that. And all those in favor? You got any discussion about that? In favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I would like to add on the strategy, if this is the appropriate place, if so, we'd like to add it here. If not, we have a lot of empty buildings around the county, and I'd like to see them better utilized. And so if we could encourage or incentivize every effort to utilize these empty spaces, maybe it'll save going out into farmland and disturbing green spaces. So I would like to move to amend this to state that we will make every possible effort to utilize existing properties before expanding or developing open land, agricultural or forested areas. So do we have a second to that?
Second.
And any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, are you asking, are you making a vote to have an additional strategy added to this, or you want to add it to one of the ones that exist?
Either way, whatever's appropriate.
It feels like kind of a standalone, so we can make that 8.1.1.9, which is the kind of bottom would be, it ends right now at 8.1.1.8. So we can add that as an additional strategy, unless you think it fits in with any of the existing ones, which is fine, it's just, it's adding another line.
Wherever it fits best. I just saw the municipalities and the DOT, and wherever it fits best is fine. Just would like to see the buildings used.
That feels like a pretty substantial task, something that could probably stand alone. My recommendation would be to add a new strategy, 8.1.1.9, that speaks to your motion.
Encourage, any land that's out there that say municipalities or counties have, or that could be used and utilized prior to, just like you said.
Properties could mean land or buildings, I guess.
Yep.
Unless we want to specify
No, that's
properties.
properties.
I
would
would
be
like to say something. I have something else I wanted to add that's similar to that. I wonder if could we table your motion till we get to that and maybe discuss that together?
Motion to.
You can just withdraw the motion, you don't have to
I
table it.
withdraw, or well, okay, withdraw
Okay,
it.
I'll
until-
withdraw it until a better
If we
time.
can go, I think if we go over these first, then it'll make more sense, mine and your idea.
Sounds good. So I'll withdraw that motion and hold it until a later time. Okay, we're on 8114. Which is limiting non-agricultural development of prime land. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of 8114 as it's written, say, well, we have to have a motion, don't we? I'd like to entertain a motion to,
If we're not changing it, we don't need to do it.
So two things, Mr. Chairman, if I may. One, yeah, so if y'all are happy with it, as opposed to having to vote on every line, just unhappy, you can, you're certainly welcome to, that's fine with me. But if you want to make any changes, that would be my recommendation. Also, I believe there's a hand up in the audience, Ms. Mandolin had a question.
okay, I'm sorry, hello?
I was just gonna, suggest that maybe sorry. Hi. I just had a quick point regarding these two strategies in particular. I think the Oconee Economic Alliance would probably be a good accountable agency to list for these two in particular. That was it.
I agree with that.
Just a suggestion.
All right. As far as 8113, 8114, those last two?
Yes.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to include Oconee Economic Alliance in 8113 and 8114?
I so move.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding Oconee Economic Alliance to 13 and 14, say aye. Aye. And any opposed, like sign. All right, it passes. Thank you, ma'am. 8115. The Economic Alliance might, I don't know, would it fit there too? They'd be a partner? Any discussion on 15?
I just want to ask a question. It says with controls preventing conversion of the recipient's agricultural land to non-farm use. Are you talking about the incentives would control it? Or I'm not sure exactly if I understand that completely. Can you?
Sure, so
Help me out.
if we were going to support, as an agricultural body, if we were going to support incentives for, let's say, someone to grow new tomatoes, just as, for whatever, just conversation's sake, we say, okay, if we're gonna find these incentives for you, if we're gonna put our grants administrators, stuff like that, perhaps part of that would be, oh, look, you made enough money to go buy your condo in South Beach, and then you're gonna sell off your property for a subdivision. So linking incentives to a way to kind of stay in farming is probably the rationale behind this,
Okay.
would be the functional look of it.
Doesn't rollback taxes sort of address that in a way?
Rollback taxes are, and for all of you, rollback taxes are if you have lands taxed agriculture and you go to change it to a use other than agriculture, you get back taxed 5 years, I believe, or 6, for that. And in some areas, that's really substantial, especially if you have land that's been taxed ag around Lake Keely. However, the further you get away from the lake, that assessment jump doesn't really that effectual. I just had someone in my office, and she bought 20 acres of a farm, and she didn't realize rollback taxes existed. We went down to the tax assessor's office and added I think it added like $4 grand, $5 grand to her tax bill. And $4 grand or $5 grand's fine, but she's splitting it up into half-acre parcels, gonna put a bunch of big dollar houses on them, so it's effectual to some degree, but it's not really.
Yeah.
Not all instances.
Is that okay, Sat?
I just, the wording, I guess, was, I understand, I mean, I thought that's what it meant, but I was just saying if there was something we could, wording wise, it made it clearer.
Suggestions?
I'm trying to, hold on.
And like we said, this is not the final
Right.
go. We have time to
Okay, I
think
think
about
it's
it.
fine
and
for right now. I'll look at it more.
The good thing is we'll look at it again next month
Okay.
and then several more times, I'm sure. So we'll have opportunities to tweak it.
Thanks for clearing that up. I just,
Anything else? All right. I'll entertain a motion to, well, if we're good with it, we don't need to. I thought we were going, yep, okay, so 816. Seek grants.
If I may, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. So I received, and I forgot to give it to you during public comment, but this seems the right exact moment to give it to you. It's public comment from Chris Starker at Upstate Forever. I'll put this in the backup material, but it's he wrote an email in to just kind of referencing Upstate Forever and saying what they do. If y'all, some of you may have met Chris Starker before. Yeah. And I'll make sure this gets into the backup material as well. He was unable to make it, he called, asked, so he wrote that email.
This is kind of one of our conservation groups we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, I had written down before you even handed this, that I'd like to add conservation groups to that
Yep.
strategy or the column of accountable agencies.
Certainly.
So, I move to add conservation groups to the column of accountable agencies on 8116.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, likewise. Good, thank you. All right, 8117. It's just saying that we make a deliberate discussion and decision-making steps with projects. Collaboration, coordination, agreement, that kind of thing. Good with the wording? All right.
I've had a little problem with the wording of that one. I'd like to, let's see. What I have is ensure that the impacts to adjacent farms and forest land for proposed public projects are part of deliberation and decision-making. Just change it around just a little bit, so impact goes with farms.
Okay. Say
forest land.
it one more time.
Okay, ensure that impacts to adjacent farms and forest land are a part of deliberation and decision-making for proposed public projects.
So you're adding this farm,
Well, I'm just changing it around a little bit, so impacts goes with farm land
you got forestry in there.
and forestry. But you add that too, but just to change it around just a little bit.
Overall, the meaning stays the same, so would you like to put that into motion and we'll?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we change that
Okay.
to ensure that impacts to adjacent farms and forest land is a part of deliberation and decision-making for proposed public projects.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, good. Last one, 8118, last one in this little section. Require farm disclosure process. Yes, sir.
If I may, sir, so when we were putting this together, I knew what I meant when I wrote this down, but after fielding some phone calls and questions from y'all, I realized that I didn't put that, make it the best possible wording of it. We had spoken here about a year, maybe not a year, maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, regarding that if you were gonna, like if your neighbor split up a piece of their property or started building homes on their property or whatever, commercial, that we would somehow notify that the new people coming to town next to the farm realize that this is a right to farm state, that this is, that you're moving in next to a farm. This is nothing, this particular 8.118 has nothing to do with the farmers so much as the people moving in next to the farm. And I think it could be written in such a way that it doesn't cause anybody any heartburn. If y'all have any thoughts on that, because it's definitely caught, some of you have asked me about it, and you all weren't the only people. So, because this went out to the public at large. So if anybody has a better way of writing that, or I can work on rewording that so it says what says it, or if you all don't like it in there, we can take it out.
I make it a suggestion that you expand it a little bit to say, you know, for new purchases or for adjacent to farmland and forest land, that you have a disclosure clause or whatever in there, or however you're gonna do it, the disclosure.
All right,
But to expand it just a little bit would make it sound, clear up something, I think.
The way that I look at that is, it's really what you're asking for is a notification of adjoining property owners that a farm is bordering their property and that it may at times be noisy and smell bad, as it states in the document attached. That's really what you're after, I
Yeah.
think.
thanks. You just saved me like 30 minutes.
And I have a concern with that
Sure.
because I think stating it that way and notifying a potential buyer of an adjoining property of that, it's difficult to calculate what impact that would have on the value of the property. I mean,
That's fair.
so that would be my concern.
It's better for somebody to know what they're getting into, to live beside of me.
It's pretty hard to miss a farm, but
Well,
No,
but
but
you don't want to
Be
become with the
surprised.
idea that they're gonna get rid of the farm.
Yeah, they come in and then they'll decide, well, it doesn't smell too good, or it's noise or something, so then they sometimes can complain. What about if we said, require farm disclosure process to inform new property owners to understand or inform them that South Carolina is a right to farm state, and whatever want to say.
But are we addressing this particular issue to the new property owner or the prospective property owner? That's where I've got a little bit of a problem, because if it's the prospective property owner that we're trying to notify, then we could be viewed as interfering with the sale of a person's property and adversely affecting the value of that property.
I hadn't considered that. I thought, I was just thinking as it applied to after the purchase. I didn't think about that.
It could, but just as any real estate transaction, you have to disclose anything that could have been on that property,
Right.
whether it's tanks or chemical spills, or, I mean, there's a list of things that's in real estate documents that constantly says that you have to divulge that, by law.
Right.
I think this is nothing wrong with saying that the guy next to you farms, and here's what farming, could happen. If he wants to build a chicken house within, 300 feet of the property line, he has the right in the state of South Carolina to do so. I mean, I think it's
It could
I understand what
enhance
you're
the
saying.
property.
I understand real estate. But I think it would be better up front than asking questions right now before the person. You sell it to them and say, well, why didn't you disclose to me there's going to build a chicken house here? Or this farmer's going to be spraying chemicals and it might drift over on my property. Why didn't you disclose that as a real estate agent? I mean, so I think I think it would be an important thing, actually. But, that could happen with all kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. It's one of those.
Fine line.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just wanted to bring that up.
I think it's
That's valid.
very valid.
Yeah, that's what you're all here for, is to have that conversation, so.
Or is that something we want to get into in the realm of?
I think it should be particularly important, especially if you move, we do have the agricultural zones and rural areas, especially agricultural zones that we already have, that people realize they're moving in next to the ag zone, if they're buying property next to an ag zone or existing ag property.
But I think what we're talking about is perhaps a disclosure in South Carolina real estate law that says we're a right to farm state. Because there's no, to my knowledge, and I used to have a real estate license, there's no requirement to disclose that.
I think that would be a.
And perhaps what we're asking is that the Real Estate Commission require that as a disclosure in the disclosure documents. Problem solved.
That would take care of it right there.
That's infinitely, it's well within our wheelhouse to ask of that. And it's a small enough state, small enough community where that's something that I can't promise anything, but if we make it a goal of ours, and if January 1, you all say this is something we want to hop on, we can start looking at it.
Valid point.
So at that point, with this conversation, where should we go with it?
I'd like to move that we contact the South Carolina Real Estate Commission to request that they make these notifications in disclosure documents. And that's not worded exactly probably as it should be, but that's at least enough to get started.
Okay, that seems,
I think.
okay.
All right. There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good point, Mr. Mayor. All right, objective 8.1.2, enhanced agricultural operations and opportunities.
Can we stop just a minute? Can we go back to what you were talking about earlier? I think we decided that at the end of this, I could tell you what my idea was.
Oh, okay.
I think that we should, create a program that, goes along with yours, but mine is land use, that this is how I wrote it. Create a program that invites entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and residents to apply for, program that allows them to adopt vacant county-owned properties to start new gardens or farms. And you could also encourage people to use existing facilities. And why not make it ag business if they're gonna do an industry?
Okay, you mind reading it one more time?
Sure. Create a program that invites entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and residents to apply for a program that allows them to adopt a vacant county-owned property and start a new garden or farm.
Is there a program in mind, or
Yes,
is
there
there
is.
a program?
It's called Grow a Lot Atlanta. They do it in the city of Atlanta, city-owned properties.
And so a person applies to obtain use of that property, and they,
It's a 5-year agreement. It's kind of like a lease agreement type thing. There's a lot of, you have to have a business plan. You have to have a reason for doing the garden, whether it's to feed your family, feed a neighborhood, or feed the homeless, or a market garden, market farm. There's a lot to it. I mean, it'd take a long time to go over the whole thing, but there is I sent a link to
On your screen.
Adam about it. I went to a conference this summer, or this spring, and got all excited about this. I finally get to say something about it, but I think that kind of in a way goes along, I don't know, it may be two different things, but it kind of goes along with what you're saying. I don't know how we could, if we could put it together if it's two separate things. Anybody? have any-
What would happen in a situation like that, though, if the county had identified some property that wasn't currently being used, and somebody signed up for it for 5 years? If the county, after 2 years, found a use for that property or found a buyer for that property, what would happen in that case?
Well, those things would have to be worked out. This is just a goal. You might not be able to use, and you wouldn't be able to use every vacant property. But there's a lot of vacant property. If you look at what the county owns, and you might include schools, schoolyards, you know. In fact, they already have ag programs, and they might be able to do that. But there's a lot of potential there. And you might not want to use every property, but maybe to start with, set up a pilot program where you have 3 properties or whatever. And that would be, but I'm just asking, this is what I'm proposing as a goal that we do as a county, is to set up a program like this. I don't know if it goes under this one or it goes with yours or not, that's what I said.
mine, I had in mind vacant buildings more or
Yeah.
less, just so that
I think it would go together.
people could
I
go
think
in.
it would too, that's why I said that.
I don't have a problem with it. I was just thinking, use the buildings that are there so don't have to go build another one.
I agree
A
with
lot
that.
of times a building
Of course.
associates itself with property around it, so. I think it goes hand in hand, the building
And
and property.
you may have a building on there that could be used as a, barn or I don't know, some kind of, because you always need barns and storage, that kind of thing.
Hydroponic setup inside the
Yeah.
building.
There's a lot of possibilities, and it could be as little as a bee yard, for a community bee yard, or whatever, or as a community garden, or like I said, is to feed a family or feed a community, something like that. But the details of it would have to be, of course, worked out. But it's a really cool program. If you read about it, you'll get excited, I think.
Is that, are you talking about property that's owned by the county, for example? And I think maybe Rex was, Mr. Blanton was talking about property that was commercial property, not necessarily owned by the county, is
Well,
that
you
right?
can do both.
I'm thinking about commercial,
Right.
empty buildings, and I know that won't
So they're
fit for
similar.
every purpose, but like a manufacturing plant, it wouldn't work for that. But if there's some way we can encourage the use of empty buildings and fixing them up, and that might relieve someone from going out here and building a huge footprint and taking up green space or agricultural land. So that's just my thought. But I'm glad to combine them however we want to
I
word
don't know
it.
if I'm just, it's
If it'll
kind of
work.
hard to know whether you do it together or different. And you could even add
No, I think
vacant
it goes
commercial
together.
land.
So, all right. Y'all want to discuss it any further, or put it in a motion, and then we can,
I don't know how, I'm not sure about the particulars of it. I would like to move that we do, at least the vacant land part, and, as far as the county goes, and they probably have vacant buildings too, I don't know.
All right, a motion, and do we have a second to implement Miss Debbie's, sorry.
Just so everyone's clear on what's being voted on, Mr. Willis is asking for a strategy 8.1.9 to be created that incorporates using vacant or underutilized county properties to support
Agriculture use or
Community gardens.
I put it as, what did I say, how did I say it? I thought a lot about it. Yeah, I can't. New garden or farm, just something simple like that.
People that don't have the
businesses or
Or business, or agribusiness, I guess
Or
you could
personal
say.
use, as I understood it.
No,
Personal use as well, right?
start a new garden or farm. And like I said, you would have to come up with parameters, but in Atlanta, what they do, it's either you feed your, a family that needs it, underprivileged family, or a, homeless, or a community, it's most of and it's a lottery type thing, or, you apply, there's more than one person that applies for these things. It's a big deal.
It's a changeover too. It
Yeah, and
changes.
after 5 years, somebody else might apply for the property you were on, kind of thing. And the people that get these properties, I mean, it's a competition.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea in Atlanta. Yes, we do have some underutilized property in Oconee County, there's no doubt, but
Grown up wasting
I
away.
think what you got there is, this goes in effect to people that are living in housing projects,
That don't have
condos,
property.
what have you, that doesn't have any garden space. And this reverts back to what they're giving them a
Community
little
garden.
spot of land and they can make a garden out of it. Actually, is what this is about, right?
Well, not necessarily, I mean, if you
Are you
think
ta-
about it in our
You're talking about
county,
putting a pasture in and putting cows in?
well, I don't know. I've said that there's a lot of things, we don't have to go into the detail of it, but it's possible.
As time goes on.
As time goes on, and what I'm talking about, I know the reason why they do it in Atlanta. I know there's a limited amount of space for gardening. But in this county, there's a lot of vacant land that could be used to feed people. And really, when you get down to the bottom line of it, we're talking about feeding people. We're talking about sustainability of this county. I live in an area, I have to drive 30 minutes to a grocery store. But I'm surrounded by vacant farmland and nothing growing on it. There's something wrong with that picture. That's
Okay.
why I propose this.
So the idea is to make 8119 what Miss Debbie's suggesting. That's what we're looking at. And if I may, add the short sentence, make every possible effort to utilize existing buildings before expanding and developing agricultural or forested areas. I'd just like to add that, because I was thinking of buildings.
Yeah.
You know, so
think it
we
goes
don't know how
together.
feasible it is, but it'd be nice if we could use the buildings up that are already there. So, Mr. Adam, you're gonna have to help us craft that one.
certainly, and that'll be the point of me bringing back to y'all in September. You all have said some things kind of round, like the
Okay.
last one and this one. I'll try to distill it down to what y'all talking, and we can edit it at that point as well.
Okay.
And that should,
Cool, all right,
Wait a minute.
8121.
I have another one. I'm sorry.
did you,
This
please don't,
goes with
please
the-
don't take this wrong, Ms. Debbie. Did you send all these suggestions to Adams ahead of time?
I most
Because we-
certainly did.
Okay. I'm just trying to move on through
Well, I
because
know
we
that,
have a
but
lot to
this
cover.
goes with this particular
Okay.
thing.
Can I make a comment about that? Perhaps that might fit under goal 8.3.
It might,
Maybe
I
we
didn't
should
know which one.
Wait and look at that one first.
Well, I was, that's why I said, he mentioned that. I didn't know if that would go with his. That's why I said that.
I'm sure we can work it
I
out.
had it under 8.3 to begin with.
It's a great idea, but I just wondered if it should be under ensuring continuing access to healthy fresh food.
I actually had it under that one to begin
Did you?
with, but when
Okay.
he said that, I thought maybe that was the time to discuss it. This is my other proposal that we add, and I think it goes under this goal. And I did discuss this with Adam. Develop a Director of Agriculture and Forestry staff position to coordinate and communicate with foresters and farmers, county administrators, public, ag and ag and forestry matters. Otherwise, develop a staff position for agriculture and forestry in the county. That would be under the Planning Commission.
Okay. Any discussion? Sounds like a pretty good idea. If we
So, I mean, that's
could
a
pull
wish,
it off.
that's a wish list thing, but sure.
We had talked earlier about something similar, staff position to help us promote. So that fits in with that. Very good. All right. Would you like any more discussion? Anybody have a question about that, or would you like to go ahead and put it in a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we develop an ag facilitator position or a Director of Agriculture and Forestry, and I don't know how you're going to say it, staff position in the county to coordinate and communicate with farmers, foresters, county administrators, public, and the public on ag and forestry matters.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so
Sorry.
thank you, Miss Debbie. Good idea. All right. I believe we're at 8121, is that right? Correct? Work with state and federal agencies, track grants, revenue sources.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before we move on, would it be possible to obtain a listing of vacant buildings and properties owned by Oconee County? Is that list available anywhere?
Vacant,
Or
I can get you a list.
unused or underutilized?
Well, that'd be, underutilized would be kind of a, depending on what's the utilization of it, but I will get you a list of all properties that Oconee County owns and which ones are empty, and which ones have buildings on them and what to use for. I'll try to get you a rundown for that. I'm sure we have that list. I hope so. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Good point. Thank you. Any discussion on 8121? Any clarification needed, or just says work with agencies to track grants and revenue sources? You good? All right, we don't need to vote then if we're okay with that. 8122, appropriate assistance to expand non-traditional agricultural opportunities. And that's probably where the beginning farming program, one of the places it fits in pretty well. We good with the wording?
Yep.
All right. Number 3, insurability of farm to have farm-related business on site. The roadside markets might be a good example.
You know, when I read that one, I wondered about existing zoning. I mean, isn't that sort of controlled by the existing zoning or not?
Controlled by existing zoning and building codes. I think the two that control farm-related businesses on site. It's what are you allowed to build on your, as a farm facility? I think that's right.
So like so the right to farm bill allows the county to say where you can farm, we just can't say how you can farm. So poultry houses, we can say there's no agriculture allowed in this particular area. We can't tell a poultry house that they have to be more or less than a certain distance that the state's already mandated.
Okay with that? Is that satisfactory? Okay. All right, if you're good with 3, let's go to 4, promote establishment of new farm enterprises, support training That may be where the beginning farming program goes to, but we're good with the, I'm good with the wording if y'all are. We good? Okay, number 5, allow ag products processing facilities. Any questions? Okay, let's move on to 6, support South Carolina right to farm laws and considering adopting a right to farm policy, county policy. We're good? At some point, I want to add something to clarify in reference to the animal sheltering ordinance. There was a lot of questions when that came out about what bothered a lot of people was the definition of an animal. It's talking about domestic pets, but if we had to provide for the cows and the horses, the temperature controlled shelters and this and all the other things, it would.
That didn't pass it.
Not to my knowledge, or it did not. That bill did not speak very far.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I had that turned off.
All right, well, we're good with 8126, then we'll go on to 8127. Promote farm stands and farmers markets. We'll be all in agreement on that.
Yeah, I would like to add one little piece to that, if I might. To initiate a local food hub with adjoining counties.
How does it work? What is it?
It's a way to, and we kind of have the starting of it now with the farm center. If we talk to, and not just concentrate on Oconee County farms, because we are limited in what we can grow here, mainly because of land use. We have a lot of forest area and lake area. There are counties adjoining us that do have produce that we could bring in and share with each other. So it's called a food hub.
Other counties could bring into our county, we could take into their county.
Something like, I mean, it would be an initiative, where we work together. And I wouldn't be opposed to doing it with Georgia and North Carolina as well.
That's like cantaloupes is a good
Right.
example.
Or watermelons.
We don't grow cantaloupes that good around here. We don't grow pumpkins that good
Right.
around here. But you go across into, I know we're going into another state, but
Well-
you're still going into another county.
Is that Georgia?
Elberton and around that area, you've got watermelons, cantaloupe, pumpkins, and gourds and everything else that they do real well down in that area. I think that's what you
And
do.
other counties don't grow apples.
That's
You
true.
could have
too.
a program that you could exchange program or something of that nature. There again, it would be something that you would have to work out the details of, but that's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
You don't, because I get a lot of my trade on apples is in the lower part of Georgia, Elberton, all down through there. You get a lot of people coming in this county.
Isn't it true that we're the only county that grows apples, commercial?
So the county would be involved in some type of program to promote commerce, agriculture
Yes.
commerce to other areas.
Right. It's-
Sounds like an exchange program, what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
exchange
Sure.
food.
Sounds like a job
It's like a farmer's
responsibility for the.
Yep.
I mean, like a state farmer's market, but a county level of,
Right.
I mean, I think that's what, they can bring their stuff in, they can buy ours and send it back out. I thought, is that what, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was your comment?
I was just saying, it sounds like a perfect first job for the staff person she wants to add here and set that
Their
up.
office could be
The only
based in
thing
this
the only
facility.
thing I like to see is put in, it's got to be grown in that county.
That's what I mean, grown, that's what,
You know,
that
it
would have to be
can't-
that
They
way.
don't want to go to Atlanta Farmers Market
Not
and
to the
bring a little
farmers market, it's
watermelons in
somehow-
here
It's
or
a
something, but,
Farmers, a
Farmers.
food hub for farmers.
So you just said, here's Center of Oconee County, we're gonna go a 50-mile radius from here, or something. And if that hits Georgia, North Carolina, then it does.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
All right, it's good discussion. Any-
Comment on
She's
it.
wanting to comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I actually just had a conversation with Stephen Nix this weekend about food hubs. He's an
Just a little
Oconee.
bit, please.
Sorry?
A little bit louder.
Oh, sorry.
Yell at us.
I was at the Travelers Rest Farmers Market on Saturday, and I ran into Stephen Nix. He lives there now, but he's a native of Oconee County, and I think Walhalla in particular. He's on the Food Summit Planning Committee with me, and we were talking about food hubs in the state, and he said he only knew of 2 that were functioning. One of those is the Swamp Rabbit grocery and cafe in Greenville, and the other one is in the Low Country. I think it's called Grow Food Carolina. But when we were talking about it, he mentioned there are many more attempted food hubs that have been started that have failed because they were not planned well. And I asked him if that was because food hubs tend to work better, if they tend to work better in urban environments, and he thought that that might have something to do with it. So definitely not claiming to be an expert on food hubs. I just had a very relevant conversation about it this weekend and wanted to suggest, rather than putting anything definitive in the comprehensive plan, it would be good to have maybe a little more research on what works in areas like this beforehand. So, and I would be happy to help with that.
I look at it as a goal, Madeline, and that's what we're talking about. And food hub might not be the right word, but an initiative to include neighboring counties and do an exchange, maybe food exchange with neighboring.
I definitely agree that it's needed.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that.
That might not be the right word, but
Spartanburg failed. There was one in Spartanburg that failed.
I think he mentioned one in Florence as well. He said there were many that he knew of, which was kind of concerning to hear about, considering there's only 2 in the state that seem to be functioning. So just wanted to express a little word of caution before. Although I'm definitely in favor of us having a local food hub. I agree that we need a retail outlet and something that provides support to producers in the system. So,
Thank you, okay, good advice, good input. Like we've said, this is a flexible document. If you'd like to add that, we can certainly change it later on to initiative or hub or whatever we come up with. But if you want to add it now, let's, by all means.
maybe just an initiative for a
Food.
exchange or,
So,
well, can we just come back to the wording, that word, and come up with something maybe better than food hub?
Just,
So I'll use food hub because that's what we're all
Yeah,
talking
that's what I
about.
said, and
And
then
then at the next meeting, if you all pick another word, we use another
That
word,
sounds
or
like
we use
food
food hub, and we can adjust the meaning, the rationale or definition later on.
Farmers, fruits, and vegetables. I mean, you don't want to get into anything else, do we? We're just looking at, while we're looking at a food hub, we're not looking into getting into restaurants or anything like this.
No,
We're
no.
looking into vegetables and fruit and vegetables, right?
It's special.
Is that what we're looking for? Or
Well-
you talking about specialties like canned goods?
Canned
or-
goods.
That's
Okay, so we need to verify what we're talking about now.
well, all the agriculture products that could be sold from the farmer to the consumer.
Well, I mean, have something like farmer initiated, food consortium, I don't know what you would call it.
No, I
We'll
understand.
just use food hub till we come up with a better word.
No, I
okay,
understand. We
put
understand.
put it in the form of a motion if you would.
Okay,
And then-
I'd like to, move that we add, initiate a local food hub in quotations, to include adjoining counties.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and we're talking about adding that to 8127?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, or I didn't know if
I think
added
that's-
it or.
Yeah,
made it.
yeah.
Is that what, okay. All those in favor of adding that language to 8127, say aye, please. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and we can massage the wording later.
And just one quick thing on that, I don't know exactly where to put it, but I'd like to have something in there to say, to incentivize local restaurants, grocery stores, and local businesses to use local food. And we don't have that anywhere in the documents that I'm aware of, but to incentivize a grocery store to put in, to be able to sell your apples, Doug, to buy low without a big hoop-de-hoop. Something,
You do.
so it is a hoop-de-hoop,
It
but
is
anyway,
big.
somehow that we as a, that's one of our recommendations, is to make it easier for the farmers to get their food into local restaurants and grocery store or markets.
8316, support new opportunities for distribution of locally and regionally produced food. That might go right in there.
Yep.
If you want to look at putting it in there or adding or
No, I think
amending that, support new opportunities for distribution of locally, regionally produced food. That,
In the local,
I'm 8316.
Okay,
It's- The food is back there in the third section.
Yeah.
So that sounds pretty close to
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
it does.
So
Yeah.
all right, well, let's go back to 8128 and then we'll
Yep.
amend that language if you want to when we get there.
Yep, sorry.
8128 says eliminate subdivision of lands that allow the divisional separation of important agricultural land into parcels that are too small to support commercial farming and businesses that do not serve the farming community. I believe that means that we don't want to divide land up so small that it can't be commercially producing food.
Does that
That's, yeah.
come across as a little anti-development
Yep.
to anybody but me?
No.
And it's, if you wanted to grow mushrooms, it doesn't take a lot of space to grow mushrooms, so you could be commercially producing minnows or mushrooms or whatever in a
Well,
tub or,
but
you know,
The other side
small
of that,
space.
we'd rather have a lot of cluster homes taking a less footprint
812.
and put them all piled in together than we would having taken 500 acres and put 500 houses. I mean, or 200 houses.
Oh, there you go.
I'd rather have them clustered up in smaller. I mean, I would want to encourage that, in my opinion. I mean, but I agree with you.
That's the way Europe does it, and I agree with that, you know, keep the green space open and farming and whatever they do with it, and then they cluster the homes in the cities and the villages. So that's a good thought.
Make Oconee County more like Europe. Yes, sir.
No, I'm not suggesting that, that's one example. But that's one of those touchy areas there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just read that and it just struck me.
would you think of a better way to word it? And eliminate is a strong word, too.
How about incentivize people to not subdivide?
Yeah.
I mean, cluster homes, just like down at Clemson at the old JP, is a good thing in that situation. I mean, they're.
People have to live somewhere. Do you want them living on a quarter acre or do you want them living on 5 acres?
Yeah, it's according to what they're gonna do with it.
And we do have a housing crunch here, entry-level and affordable housing, or whatever acronym of the day is, we are in a housing shortage at the moment.
Yep.
All right,
Could you write it in more a positive way, like say,
We've already.
that incentivize subdivisions that don't divide important agricultural land into parcels that are too small to support commercial farming?
It's changing now.
Does that sound better?
I could strike the whole thing.
I'd like to move that we strike it.
do we have a second on striking the 8128 entirely?
I second, personally.
Okay, discussion? I agree with
What
maybe
was
it
your
could be written in
objective,
a
Adam?
more positive way.
Yeah, what was your,
So
can you
I,
remember that again?
I went as full pro ag on this, cause this is inventing the wheel. It's gonna happen in South Carolina. I believe some of these were pulled out from, but I didn't have to reinvent it completely. A lot of the western states, a lot of the breadbasket states do have these in there. So I pulled this probably out of, one of the breadbasket states and comp plans that had an agricultural element in it. It seemed very pro-ag, and that's why I went with it. And that's why you all here discuss it. If it doesn't fit in here with Oconee County, that's completely fine. I just know that I look at, probably in the last 6 weeks, I probably divided up 100 acres of farmland. And it's farmland, it's not like land taxed as agriculture. It's cleared, it was a strawberry farm, it was this, it was that, it was the other thing. It was a farm a couple years ago. I mean, I can go back and Google Earth and look when it stopped being a farm. And so cutting that up, because we can, kind of felt like I should at least bring it to the attention. If it doesn't work here, it doesn't work here. It's okay, we're trying to incentivize all over the rest of the document, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does.
I think it's, like I said, I think if we put a more positive spin on it and encourage, like for no a lack of a better word, the agri-hoods, where when you incentivize subdivisions not to allow the division of farmlands
How about,
and continue some sort of farming practice on there.
how about having the subdivisions or developer leave so much green space in the subdivision? I mean, that's an option, but
Well, that's, not completely destroy farmland.
they, like I said, people gonna live somewhere. We're gonna build homes in Oconee County.
And it would leave a little green space to do what you're talking about in Atlanta.
Because, like Adam said, if he pulled this from states out west, a too small of a plot out there is 200 or 300 acres. I mean, because they farm thousands of acres. I mean, if you subdivide into a couple hundred acres, they just think that's the end of the world. So it's not, and Oconee County's about a lot more than agriculture in a way. I mean, there's a lot of industry here. And those industrial workers have to have homes,
They need food too.
and they need food.
Yeah, but they have to have a place to live.
Of course.
We've got to balance it.
And we want them to live in Oconee County, right?
Yes, we do.
Right.
Because that helps our tax base.
So we have a motion and a second. I guess we need to bring it to a vote, right?
What are we?
We have a motion and a second, yes.
So we have a motion and a second to drop it all together. I'm, in the discussion portion, I'm kind of in favor of making it a little more positive, not dropping it all together, but making it incentives and, maybe some definitions of what's too small or whatever. But it occurred to me that the row cropping is hundreds and thousands of acres and all that, so that, yeah, it's relative to the region of the country, very much so.
I mean, I just got back from California. You should see some of the farms in California. I mean, you can drive for miles and look at rice fields. Rice.
Mexico.
I had no idea that this country produced that amount of rice.
Oh, yeah.
I know they're number 3 in rice
We
production.
are, lots of it.
Anyway, okay, Mr. Adam, we need some guidance.
So you have a motion and a second on the table, you are discussing it. If you vote on it, and the outcome may lead to more discussion or may lead to moving on. So that's completely up to you, sir.
Okay,
Call vote.
all those in favor of eliminating 8128, say aye. That's 4, I believe, and all those that are opposed to eliminating it, say aye. And I think I'm opposed to eliminating it totally. I'm in favor of rewriting it.
Can I get a
Can we-
show of hands?
You gotta do the
So I
vote
can
first,
see?
then we'll discuss.
We did.
If I may, can I get a show of hands for who's opposed, just so I can, opposed to,
Dropping it.
all right, okay.
I'm opposed to
Motion
dropping it
carries.
all together.
Motion carried.
I thought I heard an aye down there somewhere on opposed.
But I see 3 opposed to 4. Is that correct? There's 4?
Yes, sir.
4 for deleting 8.1.2.8, 3 against.
Okay. All right, 81210, encourage and support
No.
programs.
Can I, point here?
Sure.
I don't think there's anything to prevent you from now moving to add one that rewords it the way you want it,
Right.
is it?
Why can't we just say reword this one?
It has.
Well, the vote's already passed.
The
We
vote
already-
passed. It's gone at this moment. If we wish to
Okay.
add something that speaks to land use divisions, we can certainly can entertain that as well. But if,
All right.
I just don't know how you would reword it. I couldn't think.
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah. We'll have to think about it, consider that one some more and see what we can come up with. Right now, it's dropped, and that's fine. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped 8129. Consider adopting voluntary agricultural and forestal area programs. Okay, we good with that?
Yep.
Number 10, encourage and support programs that educate and engage residents of all ages. And that's the reason they started the Heritage Fair, was to engage and teach the younger kids about it. And I think that's a good one.
Yep.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, no, I've got a good stack.
Okay.
I'll get more if I need them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Bye-bye.
input.
Thank you.
All right, we're good with that one?
Yep.
We're all in favor of education. Residents of all ages. Section 2, protect Oconee's forest resources. Maintain an accurate inventory of important forest land. We good?
Yep.
Coordinate and plan infrastructure and development to, on, or within protected forest land. I added on and within, but that's the general idea, coordinate infrastructure and development. I think we always want to do that in our efforts. Number 3, support efforts to permanently preserve important forest land. Any discussion on that? I think the Forest Service should be included, the U.S. and the state, you said the State Forestry Commission. Maybe the U.S. Forest Service ought to be included on those last 2 under agencies.
And those conservation entities that you were talking about.
And conservation, what's the easiest way to include those, Mr. Adams?
Just motion vote, whichever ones you like. You can put 8, to add 8 to 8.2.1.2 and 3, these following responsible parties. Or
I move to add U.S. Forest Service and conservation organizations to 212, 213, and 214. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
In 2 and 4, you could, I would like to make a motion to add extension as well. They do have that forestry unit.
I can amend my motion to add extension to 214 if that would work. So USFS on 2, 3, and 4, and extension on 4. And I think we need to include them wherever it's applicable, but my motion includes what I just said. So as amended, are y'all in favor of the amendment to the motion to add extension?
Second.
Say aye, okay.
Aye.
Everybody's in favor, say aye. We're voting on the amendment. Okay, we're voting on the motion now. The original motion, if we need to vote on that, y'all in favor of that as amended? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I forgot to vote. I'm in favor of it. I made the motion, of course, so. 8.3, continuing access to healthy, fresh food. Did I skip one?
8.2.1.5.
Skip 5. Considering adopting the International Wildland Urban Interface Code or relevant portions to help mitigate fire risk. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, certainly. So right now, Oconee County has adopted by reference International Property Maintenance Code, International Residential Building Code, International Commercial Code. It's the Building Codes Department. It's what they use. We have that as a building code. They also, this group, the International Code Council, makes a bunch of stuff. They make the International Swimming Pool Regulation, the International Backsplash Foundation, whatever they have, a lot of stuff. But they also have a Wildland Urban Interface Code, which speaks to when you have houses or homes adjacent to lands that are, using California as a reference, they have, tree lines. If you're near a certain area that's prone to wildfire, trees have to be a certain thing. Housing envelopes are made of certain, it's a whole building code for that wildland urban interface. It is another set of regulations on buildings next to fire-prone areas. It wouldn't be throughout the county, I don't believe, but it'd probably be areas next to,
You may join Forest Service.
probably. I mean, but that would be that'd probably be a large portion of the area, but it does exist there for fire-prone areas. I don't know, have we ever had a major fire here? Yeah.
Yep, 70s.
Jumping Branch Fire in 1973. Had a tornado come across the Mountain Rest area, and it knocked down a wide swath of trees. A few years later, fire, the fuel ignited, and it created the Jumping Branch Fire, so,
The
yes.
Jumping Branch Fire and the Kellis Mountain Fire on 107, come across from 28 to 107. That's when you didn't ride up the road, they put you fighting fire. I mean, people were going up there to look, and they put them with rakes in their hands and fighting fire. It was a bad one.
Some houses got lost.
No, most of it was in
Forest land.
forest land and government land.
Watch.
Yeah, yes, the potential's there. It takes about 3 or 4 years of drought, and we'd be just as bad as California.
Let me add one thing to that wildland urban fire interface. They've got roads and regulations. And also, they've got a training program existed into that helps the homeowners. If they say they live in Mountain Rest and they're living in the, on 50 acres and they're living right in the middle of it, what they can do to protect their home from forest fires or whatever. They've got a lot of training and a lot of stuff that they can get. I know the rural fire departments, we put on wildland firefighter training. We've got to go, as a firefighter, we have to go through classes and a lot of training. And then there's a lot of training that we can give out to the public to say, okay, I live in an area I'm worried about. We can come in, and they can come in and evaluate and tell you things they can do, just like for planting green grass, doing away with the trees, raking your leaves and getting them up in the wintertime. There's different aspects of training that goes along with that right there, which I think is really good. And it's something we do need because, like you said, how many acres of forestry we got in Oconee County?
2.
A bunch. And it don't take but one guy to start a bunch of fires like we did have one year when they were starting fires on government land because they was mad at the federal government. I don't know how many I fought, and they put roofing nails in the road, so we got them all in the fire trucks, so we wouldn't get there. I got 20 nails out of 2 back tires on one of the fire engines. But that's a good thing. I think that's something we need to, in the rural fire departments and state forestry, I mean, they really get into that, and, and it's a lot of good information there if you even want to know anything about it. And especially what's happening out in California and Oregon and some of those places where
Devastating.
it's devastating, yeah. It's like don't want to see it here.
Okay.
No,
Sounds like we're all in favor of that, right?
I'm all in favor of education and for the citizens about wildfires, but 8.2.15, that's another code. So I'll read the code, I'm not gonna vote on it, because I don't know, it may tell you have to build a masonry house with a metal roof, have a sprinkler system in it. So I personally would be against it till I read the code.
Send that out to y'all, or?
So that's up to me.
Can you educate us on that, by the next meeting, or Adam or somebody, just
I'll send you all a link.
send us a link to it. And, yeah, because we do need to know what we're going to vote on, so.
I think you'll find out, and you probably, we need to do a little research on it. It's no problem. Your fire departments, you know, Charlie King can get you whatever you need to know on that. But most of this wildland urban, when they mean that, that's outside. It doesn't have to do anything with buildings.
Structure itself.
Structure itself. Your structure itself is gonna come under your
Because I
building.
misunderstood, because I thought it
This
may have a code about what, if you built a new home that was adjacent to, say, forest land, are they gonna make you do certain things because it is?
No, when they say wildland, urban, that's whatever's around you.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but as long as the code doesn't force a homeowner to do something to his home different than his original plans were.
Or the codes, or building codes.
Right.
That say that does. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But we can check into that and make sure.
Okay.
Can we, Adam?
Yes, sir, I'm actually looking at it now. I'm just looking at the table of contents. Here, hold on. I don't know why I'm not sharing that.
Yeah, that's, no, thank you.
So what I'm seeing here, a lot of this is vegetation, all this is not your stuff, but there does appear to be some ignition-resistant construction and material.
So there is a section on it.
Now, the relevant portions part, there's vegetation control,
Yeah, access.
But, you know, just water supply.
firewood. I'll send this to y'all, so,
I'd like to look over it, because if it's,
yeah, all right, we'll do that. So I'll
if it's in
send
addition to the normal codes,
this is above and beyond what we currently have.
right, I would not necessarily be for it. But that's me.
All right, I'll make sure to get that to y'all tomorrow and let y'all look at it.
All right, so 8215 we'll hold off on
That's
and
gonna be a whole.
learn more about it, and we'll talk about it in September. Goal 3, 8.3, ensure continuing access to healthy, fresh food. Eliminate food deserts, ensure access to healthy food. Integrate food system policies and planning into county land use. All the county plans. Should we include the school district in these next two as agencies? Because we talked in the beginning about trying to include them in it whenever possible.
Yep.
Any discussion other than that? I can, if none, I can move to add the school district of Oconee to 3.1 and 3.12. No, I'm sorry. 3.11 and 3.12.
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Anything we didn't talk about, very much about 3.12, encourage residents to supplement personal food sources of gardening and canning. Any discussion on that needed? I think that's kind of inherent with what we're trying to do. All right, recruit and support businesses that provide healthy food. We might do well to add Clemson Extension to that.
Can I just say on the wording of that, I think it says support, maybe incentivize, to give people incentives for that.
Recruit, support, and incentivize. That sound good? Encourage.
Well, incentivize means you gotta pay them something.
Well, you could give them a tax break.
I mean, they're gonna,
Encourage can go in there too.
Well, okay.
Read it how you'd like to hear it.
Recruit and incentivize the business that provide healthy food choices in all areas of the county. I'm thinking about maybe giving somebody like we do other industries, a tax break for building a grocery store, within 5 miles of my house.
Or in areas that
Or
lack,
maybe even put water out there.
areas that lack a food supply, right?
Tell them you'll put a water line to the grocery store. There you go.
You dream.
Underserved areas, right?
Well, that could be an encompassing thing, though, the incentivize.
I don't see any problem with giving incentives to an agricultural industry or grocery store or food, supply per place, just like you do other industries. I don't have a problem with that. And I think we should include it. That's what we're here for.
Could we just add incentivize, recruit, support, and incentivize? Would that be good?
I think it'd be good.
All right. So,
I make a motion, we add incentivize to that list of
second, any
Second.
discussion?
verbs.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're getting down to the short rows. 314, revised land use policies, require healthy food access. Any questions? I like that we've included municipalities on there.
Is our intent with this one to override, so to speak, CC&Rs in neighborhoods, the covenants and restrictions of a neighborhood? Because a lot of neighborhoods don't allow gardens,
Really?
That's right.
really.
That's right.
And are we saying that we're gonna try to strike that in Oconee
I
County?
wouldn't, no, I don't think that's the intent of this. I hadn't considered it because I didn't know that neighborhoods had such rules.
Kiwi
Oh,
Key.
yeah.
Neighborhoods do.
Kiwi Key can have a garden in your yard, but they have a community
Now they have a
garden
community
spot.
garden, yeah.
They have a community garden spot under the power line.
It's South Point does too.
Well, I think this not
be
necessarily
careful now.
private ones, but like zoning or that kind of
I
thing.
don't believe anything that prohibits gardening.
Gardens, that's true.
Now, we could certainly add something along the lines of, if the county's gonna subsidize something or incentivize something, that we're not gonna let you, if we're incentivizing you to build housing, we're not gonna say, oh, you can't stop your, let's just say, for instance, Oconee County got into we incentivize industry, because that's just kind of our thing. If we decided to incentivize housing, we could say, all right, well, we're incentivizing housing for, say, entry-level housing. We're gonna say, hey, we're incentivizing people who need some assistance, we're not gonna take away their ability to feed themselves.
Right.
So that certainly can be reworked, that language to kind of speak to that. But you're right, we wouldn't wanna say, hey, whichever subdivision that doesn't allow it, you now have to do it. I don't think we could do it after the fact anyhow.
Yeah, we'd have to say of new development. You know,
But I can certainly work on this, 8.3.1, before to speak to that, if y'all like.
Yeah, it might be better if we kind of reword it a little bit to the effect that we support that without stepping on neighborhood covenants and restrictions or something to that effect. We agree on that? Yes. Okay. And if I may back up to the previous, if we could just add Clemson Extension to agencies, where it says recruit, support, and incentivize, provide healthy food. Accountable agencies, Clemson Extension might be a good partner in that. If we could add that, it'd be good. What do y'all think?
Make a motion to add Clemson Extension to that portion.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We're on 315, work collaboratively with other nonprofits, address needs of the vulnerable populations. Sounds great. Do we need to add any agencies there?
Our farmer's market is up there. We're doing quite a bit of that, getting a grant so that we're doubling the money that the elderly get right now for their senior vouchers. Gwen is doing that. She's the manager of the Heritage Market, and she's doubling their money.
I think that could be like a.
And that's a
program.
two-way sword
Farmers market.
for the
I
farmers.
think farmers market ought to be in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good, that's a good incentive. I make a motion, we use farmers market.
I'll second.
Any discussion, further discussion?
Why is that a two-edged sword?
It helps us and them, the
Oh,
farmer.
yeah,
It
yeah,
helps
oh,
the
yeah,
farmer
okay, I
and
thought
the
you thought there was
person.
some
No.
negative areas, okay.
No.
It's the wooden nickels.
I know what you're talking about, I want to just make sure there wasn't
Like I
anything
said, it
negative.
helps the farmer and
And the farm, and
Yeah.
the person, yeah, I think it's a great program.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Likewise? I hear none. 6, support new opportunities for distribution of locally and regionally produced food. Now, was that where you had an idea?
Comes under the hood now.
Kinda, they're all kind of related.
It's all tied together, but also you need to, that might be a good place to put incentivize restaurants and grocery stores for buy local.
We'd say support and incentivize new opportunities for distributing local food.
I'd like to add a little bit to that, just, I've been selling local foods in my, shop, and my problem is distribution.
Yep.
If I wanted to get something from that, say, somebody had a specialty food here in Oconee County, I have to go actually pick it up and take it with me to work, and so I don't get paid for that, but I do it because I want to support our county. Like, I go pick up honey and take it to my store and sell it. And I go pick up other things, but I have to go actually pick it up. If we had some sort of, and there again, that's the kind of thing we were talking about, like a food hub or a place where she could take her goods and I could go buy them, a marketplace
Some of
type
their
thing.
stuff too, but it's just about impossible
All
just
about
to take
transportation.
off and going up there and getting it.
Yep.
I'd like to sell his apples, his figs he's got
I'd
right
like to
now, and
sell
all this
some
kind of good stuff.
Y'all
I
stuff
like
up there, but,
It's, distribution is an issue with all agriculture.
right.
Sure drives the cost
Well, I
up, doesn't
definitely
it?
think that we should support it then.
Support what?
That's what it says, support.
New opportunities for distribution of locally and regionally produced food.
Yeah, yes.
Opportunities for.
It's about supporting it, but then what? Do you have
I don't know if we're gonna come to the answer tonight, but we agreed that we like the wording.
Yep.
All right. Do you wanna add incentivize? All right. Just let it go like it is.
give a man a deal on a truck? I mean, yeah. That's good.
Well, let's, if you don't have any modifications, let's just go with it for now.
Okay.
So all those in favor of 316, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Likewise? Okay. 317, revised zoning code, require healthy food access. Back to that neighborhood thing, limit restrictions on gardens, residential areas.
If I may, this came from a more urban area, I think probably in Oregon or something, or Washington perhaps, where when they had developments, they have, like if you go to put in 500 houses, they're gonna require you to put a school in, they're gonna require you to put X, Y, and Z in, as far as like an impact fee or something of that notion. So that's what this was speaking of. And then, Mr. Reichert, this part speaks to what you were speaking about before. So that's the genesis of this.
Any discussion on that? Y'all okay with it as it is, or?
Is this toward the municipalities, like if they've got their own rules? like Walhalla has one, you know, not allow any gardens. I know you can't have a pot-bedded pig in the city limits. Even though it's a pet.
A lot of times you're not supposed to have bees, but they do.
So,
They can't.
I just, does the municipalities' rules and regulations override our county, or do we override them?
If I may, they're separate. The reason why we include them is because we don't live in a vacuum. So if we could have a unified kind of front, or if, anywhere in this document, this is all for the unincorporated areas, but we really want to work with them, you know, Seneca sprays for mosquitoes. You know, that's, if we work with them to whatever end, you know, it's working with them. So that's why we include municipalities, because we don't want to not have a list of stepping off points. So it'd be great if we could work with municipalities in this regard. Yeah, but we don't control them. We can make whatever rules we want to. And it's not crossing that imaginary line. It's outside of our jurisdiction.
Good with that?
Well, can I make one comment?
Yes.
On that? I guess my problem in this, and maybe some others in here too, is that if a group of people buy homes in a particular neighborhood, and they as a group decide that they don't want gardens, then who are we?
That's true.
I mean, they own the property. They should be able to self-regulate and self-manage what they own. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it should be their right to do that because they're the property owners. And that's
They had the
my only
covenants
point.
before they purchased.
Yes.
You don't want the
Good
rules,
point.
just don't go there. More or less.
Yeah, if you
Right.
don't like it, you don't buy it.
Exactly, that's what,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's,
I don't know.
So how would you reword it? Could you reword it to suit what you're saying a little better?
It's to revise.
I would be okay with saying encourage neighborhoods
Yeah, that's
not
what
to
I-
have that.
Yeah.
But as far as having a hard and fast, you can't have it, I wouldn't be in favor of that. And I think a lot of that's a matter of education. I think at one time my neighborhood had restrictions against gardens. But somebody moved in and had a beautiful raised bed garden. And it's amazing how people change their mind about it. Because it was beautiful.
who makes a pig pen in there?
So now, a lot of the neighbors have raised bed gardens, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
But I just don't, I guess, government interference, or whatever you want to call it, just let the people that own the property decide what they do on their property, instead of having the government tell them what they can and can't do.
We have a lot of that.
Yeah.
agree.
Well, I think this is talking about zoning as much as anything,
But
and not
that's
have a
what-
zoning
that's-
code that prohibits it.
That's the government telling you what to do.
Well, but most places aren't zoned in the county.
So perhaps if I can kind of listen to all of y'all, if we just put a period right here
That's kind of what I was thinking.
and strike the rest of it. and
Just
strike-
because the blue part is the part with, it's,
Strike.
Yep.
Sorry.
Period.
Strike that,
Yes.
put a
blue.
period there,
yeah.
and strike that. Is that kind of what y'all are
Yeah.
looking at? It's up on the screen right there.
Yeah, I see it.
Right,
I got it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We good with what's in red? And just
Yeah.
put a period after
Okay.
I
standards?
am.
You good with that?
Yes,
I
sir.
am too.
Okay, do we need to vote on it?
Yep.
All right. I would entertain a motion to modify 8317 to end the sentence after standard. If anyone would like to move to do that.
I'll make a motion to
I'll second it.
agree.
All right. We motion and second to end the sentence after, with the period after standards. So all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Likewise. 318, work collaboratively to ensure that emergency preparedness programs include food access. This is a big one, folks. I don't know how the emergency planning department, I don't know what their process is for food and water provision, but this is huge. So we're saying we're
Does
gonna,
Oconee County have any emergency food stockpiled anywhere?
I don't know.
But there's correct me if I'm wrong, you probably know him better than I do, Scott something that works at the,
Green.
Scott Bryant?
Bryant.
And he's head of emergency services.
yeah. Guy's brilliant. If anybody would know the answer to these questions, he would, for sure.
I think right here in the agencies over here, you go into churches right there. Because a lot of you churches do the emergency food thing. I know that.
Food banks.
Yeah, food banks.
Well,
And
and
what have
the
you.
other,
And they get together like disaster time, and they can send that down. As far as the fire departments, they do have water. Then you've got Red Cross in there too. That, comes up with food,
somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
you know.
private organizations and disaster relief organizations?
But I'll bet this is already in the Oconee County
I-
plan.
I think it is.
Probably is.
Is in there, okay. That'd be
Time the
something.
National Guard was bringing out water when we had a terrible time, something flooding. It was a flooding of the
Right.
sump pumps or something up there, and they've had to bring out, the National Guard brought out water.
Like, the question was, that do we have any storage, food storage? I had a note that said, who provides the storage of the food or the access and the distribution in the case of an emergency? So, that's definitely a worthy
Yeah.
goal.
We definitely should
Is there,
collaborate.
I don't think you got a storage. I think it's just a matter of organizations
People bringing,
that
pulling it in from
they,
somewhere?
they get donations, and it comes in. And you'll be surprised. I know during the, 1,000-year-old flood, I sent 50 or 60 bushel apples down and some other stuff to, for the least, to give out to the people down there that were flooded out and what have you. And I know we sent, our church did the same thing. I did some through the county because we've got a disaster team in the county that will go anywhere on short notice. They got a group for wildland firefighting. They got one for river rescue, swiftwater rescue, and all this stuff. So we got people trained to do this stuff. I think that, I know water issues, water is good for a long time, and they do have stockpile of that. But as far as food, I don't think we have a stockpile anywhere that I know of. of food
I'm
in the
texting
county.
Mr. Crine. I'll see if he replies. I will let y'all know.
How about the plan is? So,
I do know the people in Oconee County are very reluctant to give when it comes to disaster time. I know we sent like 3 18-wheeler loads of food. I mean, we were packing it down, and so that's where they usually come up with what they have. Now, I do know they have a clothing thing for clothes, like people get burnt out, and the only people I know that's got, the Salvation Army may have something, and plus Red Cross, they always have on standby if we have a disaster, say a family gets burnt out or whatever.
Yeah.
With everything, it's there on the scene when you need it.
So under agencies, would we like to add private organizations and disaster
I
relief
think so, yeah.
organizations?
I think we need to.
that'd be good.
Okay.
Like a make a
Nonprofit
motion
organizations.
to add nonprofit and local community organizations. Or what we got?
Private, comma, nonprofit, comma, disaster relief organizations, would that work? Private, nonprofit, disaster relief organizations, I'm talking about commas in between. But that's your motion, so you make it.
I do make it.
All right, second?
I'll second.
Okay. Private organizations, nonprofits, and, which I guess is the same thing, and then disaster relief, which is, I guess, Red Cross. All those in favor of adding that to the accountable agencies, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. I think we're done. I hope we're done.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
One more comment. I read every page of this, and I didn't see anything in here that spoke to one of the biggest looming disasters, in my opinion, that we have facing us, and that's climate change.
Yep.
Never thought about that.
And I don't know how to address it or how to state it, but I recently received a survey from Clemson University wanting to know about our forest land on the farm.
I just
Wanting to know if we did cover crops.
filled that out.
You just fill this out. And I imagine that a big part of the survey is getting at climate change, what is my guess. But I think that we need to incorporate something into our plan that addresses climate change. Not that we're going to be able to do anything about climate change, but we need to prepare our farmers to deal with the effects of climate change.
They already are.
Drought's coming.
We're
We've been
tough
looking.
already.
They already are.
Good point.
No, it's a-
Very good
yes.
point.
I think you're exactly right. I see the effects every day as I drive up through the forest.
I tell you.
And also,
Horrible.
I know our beekeepers are having issues that I think are directly related to climate change. Like you said, I think maybe what we could do is, just like we talked about, education, and maybe we could could add it to the part about education, about, add that as part of the education goal we had in here.
I was reading I didn't realize this, but I was reading recently that if you do cover crops, that helps take carbon out of the air and put it back into the soil.
1 acre of corn produces an astronomical amount of oxygen. 1 acre of corn, look it up, because it's a field of green. Just 1 acre of corn, so you'll be amazed, yeah. Yep.
That's the reason we got such good air in Oconee County.
We plant.
They had air because of
Maybe
Atlanta.
somebody would plant.
Well, trees do help
They do.
climate change.
Oh, yeah.
I have asked every.
Okay,
1
so,
acre of corn produces more than the rainforest, 1 acre.
That's why we need to have this.
so we would like to add that possibly to the education component, how to deal with the changes in the environment, changes in the climate that may come. We'd like to figure out where to put that in and the wording and,
To educate and assist in mitigating the harmful impacts of climate change in Oconee County through agricultural means.
yes.
I just made that up right now, so,
Sounds good.
That sounded
Second.
good.
this recording?
And it would fit, it sounds like it fits in the educational component, like she said. So,
Right.
I'm up for it.
okay. Who's for going home?
Let's go ahead and make a, if I may.
Go ahead and let him make that.
If somebody wants to make the motion of what the staff's recommendation is,
I'd like to make a motion to agree what Adam spoke, and the amendment to the section where it's applied.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so I hear a motion to adjourn. Oh, is there any old business?
There's another.
if I may, sir, just for y'all's sake, I included the Highway 123 quarter plan. We don't have to go through it. It's there. Planning Commission just accepted it and voted it to send it to council.
Council.
Figure y'all would like to have a little copy of it.
Yes.
Look at the last 2 pages whenever you get a chance. And that's what I had for 123.
I can read that one.
Like that?
My husband
Hard
just
copies
thought
hard
it
to
was a
read.
wonderful
I'd get a
thing.
magnifying glass.
If I could make
Yes,
one
sir.
more comment. Adam sent out an email today about a meeting at
September
Chattooga Bell Farm,
10th.
September 10th.
Fine, sounds good.
And I'm gonna be out of town, but hopefully somebody sitting here will be able to go to that. Ed, I'm sure you'll be there, right?
I think I put it on my calendar. We'll try to go.
They close by there, Doug.
I wish I could.
You make
That
that
really sounds interesting.
No, we do.
Not me too.
I'll be there.
Robbie Sister is great. He's the head ranger there.
And later on in
Oh, this is
September,
gonna be at Bubba's place.
later on in September is the Heritage Fair. Is that right?
Yes.
Bringing food.
End of September? Last weekend of September or something? So let's be aware of what's going on, especially agricultural events, and try to support them.
Also,
absolutely.
September, we have the Farm Bureau, annual meeting. If you're a Farm Bureau member,
You know the date?
you should get asked me that.
You brought it up.
Contact me tomorrow, so I'll get it out.
Folks, I'm ready if y'all
It's
are.
coming up, we have the annual meeting, and it'll be at the Westminster Middle School, which is the old high school, on 183 this year. At the middle, miniature middle school. At the old high school, I call it the old high school, but anyway, you know, there on 183, it's gonna be there this year instead of at the high school. Down on 24, it's gonna be there.
If we could maybe publish these little dates in something and let's try to support agriculture.
Come back, aren't we?
If you can write somebody, if you can advertise of what we're doing or write somebody, and that would be a good thing.
Put it on Hayes Voice.
And Adam, I appreciate
Voice for
that
all
email
this
out.
day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I hear a
Motion
motion.
adjourned?
A second.
All those in favor, follow me.
Great job, y'all. Y'all started
Good job, Adam. Thank you for writing all that. That's a lot of work. You did a great job.
Staff.